The top story: the coalition will not commit to a new 2030 climate target before the election. Instead, it will make that decision in government, warning Labor's existing goal would trash the economy. Our political editor, Andrew Clennell, joins us live now. Andrew, Peter Dutton saying he wants to focus on the end goal of net zero. What does that mean?
Well, I guess it means he sticks to net zero by 2050, and I guess the next target that a government has to come up with is 2035. There's a difference between opposing a target, as in 2030, and not endorsing it. I guess he's saying the government won't reach that target, so why should I actually endorse it? There are political cycles when it comes to the energy wars in Australia, between concern over climate change when big bushfires and floods happen, and when there's a cost of living crunch that becomes concern about power bills. Peter Dutton's betting that he's at the right time of those cycles, and it appears he is at the moment, or at least has a chance to use that for some political leverage. That's why he's not committing to the government's 2030 target.
Will you adopt a lower climate target for 2030 than Labor?
Well, as we've said, Labor has no chance of meeting their target by 2030, and I'm going to have a responsible approach, but I'm not going to adopt an approach that sees power prices skyrocketing like they will under Labor.
Does that mean you'll have a lower target than Labor?
Well, it means that we're committed to net zero by 2050, and that we need to make sure that we don't harm Australian families and businesses in the interim, and at the moment that's what Labor is doing. And in terms of the targets otherwise, we'll make those decisions when we're in government.
So he doesn't want a different 2030 target because he doesn't want to pull out of the Paris Agreement, but he's criticising the target at the same time. He's also saying those Teal independents who might attack him over this, they've got it all wrong. They're too radical.
Sophie Scott says your decision shows you've abandoned inner city seats. Have you?
No. Some of the Teals, Monique Ryan, Sophie Scott, they will vote with Labor because they're Greens. They're not Teals. I'll be very honest about it. They are more inclined to vote Labor, to support Labor on every occasion. Do I think that they're in touch with average families who are struggling to pay their power bills at the moment? No, I don't.
Labor's other target is that the energy system be 82% renewables by 2030. At a Sky News Economic Outlook event on Friday, I put to the Prime Minister he's well off reaching that target. It'll probably be 65% renewable by 2030, it's been modelled, rather than your 82% target. And we're getting 3.5 gigawatts a year of renewables at the moment, including solar power, when for your target you'd need 6 gigawatts a year. So you've got a challenge there, haven't you? You're not meeting the promise that you gave.
Well, I don't accept the figures that you've put forward. One of the things that happens with any infrastructure project, I know a bit about infrastructure, is it doesn't go in a straight line, it ramps up. And that is one of the things that you will continue to see. That's what happens. That's just what any modelling will show you occurs.
On another matter, Andrew, China's Premier Li is expected to visit Australia next week. I understand you've spoken with the former Home Affairs Secretary, Michael Pezzullo, about it. What did he have to say? What should we expect?
Well, the Prime Minister wouldn't confirm the date of the visit, but we know he'll be in Canberra next Monday. He'll arrive at the weekend after a visit to New Zealand, Premier Li, and then he'll travel to Perth for a business function there. So not expecting any sort of joint press conference. He's the one leader you don't get them. No doubt Anthony Albanese will come out afterwards and say what he had to say to the Chinese leader, but we know there's increasing tension between the US and China, occasional bouts of tension between Australia and China. And that's what makes it such an interesting visit next week when it's finally confirmed. The PM even waiting for the formalities, the joint Australia-China releases on it before confirming it's going ahead. I can assure you it is. Michael Pezzullo, he penned the 2009 Defence White Paper. He is the former head of the Home Affairs Department. He says there's concerns on the cyber front. China have prepared themselves for a possible war with the US and perhaps Australia. And he also made the argument on Sunday Agenda as to why the West can't allow Taiwan to fall. He says it's of great strategic importance.
Critical infrastructure networks that would be attacked on the eve of or on the morning of a war to disable support to military facilities. So things like power systems, water systems, gas systems, which would then hurt the civilian population. That is the equivalent of the dynamite already being placed on bridges to blow them up in the event of war. And that is getting close to an act of war. China overwhelming Taiwan through force, through belligerence, would send such a shocking signal to the rest of the region that American primacy had been defeated, that America either had chosen to withdraw or had been defeated, and that a new hegemonic power was in town, and a hegemonic power that was willing to use force to subjugate. I think Australia, along with Japan, Korea, the Philippines, Taiwan itself, has got a deep interest in ensuring that that future never eventuates.
So we had the Chinese Foreign Minister here a few months ago, many years though since we've had a Chinese leader, but always in the background, treading on eggshells a bit, that fear of a possible future war in a few years' time.